Welcome to the ripple effect of love for dads and families. Today we look at releasing guilt. There's no need to be a perfect dad. Now, what does all of this mean? Very good question, isn't it? So, guilt. Oof, that's a big topic today, and I'm kind of excited to be talking about it because it kind of sneaks up on us sometimes. And some of us were raised where if we didn't do what we were asked, we were shamed and guilt, was put on us. They made us feel guilty. And we carry this through our decades of life, and it becomes a habit of what we're doing. So let me start with the beginning. Do you ever feel like you're not doing enough as a dad? I know that even though I was a teacher and a mom, sometimes I still felt that way, that I wasn't doing enough, especially during report card season where I was working like 60 to 80-hour weeks to get everything done. So that was a lot for my kids, my children to be alone. So you're not alone. There are many, many dads out there. Research shows that dads often will feel not good enough. It really depends on maybe the role model that you had. If your role model at home was a loving dad and this dad showed you was an awesome example how to be an awesome dad, it makes life a lot easier. However, that is not the majority of cases, right? If we look through time, dad's job is to be the protector. Dad's job is to, bring in the income. Dad's job is not necessarily nurturing, right? So therefore, um, there's this guilt that can come in, or the shame. And guilt does not make you a better dad. Growth does. So today we're going to dive into a few of the number one reasons dad carry guilt, and maybe moms and grandparents as well, right? And how we can release that, because it's so important. You don't want to carry that guilt with you day in and day out. And actually, it just keeps growing and growing and growing. In the world of EFT, emotional freedom techniques, guilt is a very heavy emotion. It's almost as strong as the fear of death, which is huge, right? So how can you, just be able to, what is it? First of all, identify where you're at, right? We need to identify. Is it financial decisions that are making it? Or is it the career? Some of you are working and would rather stay home. Some of you are staying home and would rather be working because of the salaries. And guilt, it can start right from the start of your experience as a dad. Maybe you were on a trip when your child was born and you weren't able to be there, and you had promised you would be there. Maybe, and then we feel guilty. So these emotions, they creep up on us, and we end up carrying them. And then they can cause us into addictions such as alcoholic addiction or depression, because we're putting so much pressure on ourselves. And really, that's the last thing you need. So if you're feeling, you don't need to be totally addicted to something. You don't need to be, before you take action, you don't need to be totally, what was that other thing I said? Oh, um, anyway, I'll come back to it because I had said the, um, the guilt. Oh, the addiction and depression. So I have here a study. You know, you don't have to be totally depressed before you take action. If you know the signs and you start looking at what the signs are, and you're like, am I a little bit addicted? Did somebody make a comment that make you think that it could be? So I took down some information. I did a little bit of research because I wanted to know what the newest research was. And there was a study that was done with 85 participants, 41 women, 44 men, and was clinically investigated with shame and guilt. So they discovered that the patients with more of the depressive disorder showed a maladaptive guilt and shame profile, which was characterized by increased interpersonal feelings of guilt and increased proneness to shame. And then there were the patients that had an alcohol addiction, and they were characterized more by the lowest reserve and ooh, okay, give me a minute here to read this word, antidelophilic attitude. So the oxytocin values were lowest in the patients that had the alcohol addiction compared to the two groups, but not related to guilt and shame. So that's very interesting. So maybe what I'm understanding from this is, that depressive, we kind of lose hope sometimes, and we feel like we're not good enough. Well, how is that going to help us be the better version of ourselves? Right? So it's always about, okay, I'm seeing things through these lenses. Right now, I feel shame, and it's okay to feel shame, and it's okay to feel guilt. However, you don't want to stay stuck in it, do you? So there's two things. You can give me a call, book an appointment, and we'll see how we can release that. But of course, my answer is let's snap, tap as we breathe in for 3. Relax the shoulders and exhale onto the spiraling train. I want you to scan your body. Where is this guilt or this shame showing up in you? Or this, I'm not good enough feeling? Where is it showing up in your body? Is it in the stomach that's going like this? Are your shoulders really tense? Your toes curled up? Which part of your body? So take another deep breath and do your best to scan your body, because your body will give you the answer. Relaxing the shoulders, going to the train station, feel your sit bones, and exhale. Give permission to the guilt to be released. All that guilt that we've carried for years and years and years. And let's take another deep breath. Relax the shoulders. And exhale that onto the spiraling train as you continue tapping, or you can rub gently. Really feeling within your body. I have to close my eyes to really feel where my body is acting up. So let's take another deep breath. Thank your body for showing you where the guilt is in you. Relax your shoulders, your spine, feel your sit bones So you can really feel that you're in your body. Notice the taste in your mouth. Notice the sounds around you. Come back to your breath and exhale that out. Onto the spiraling tree, just letting it go. Keep letting it go if you have more. Give yourself that permission right here, right now, in this moment. Are you feeling calmer? Are you feeling better? Do you feel you've got less guilt? I could work on guilt, I think, every day for a year and still have some guilt to release. So you are not alone, and that's why we're here, and that's why I'm here every day, weekdays at 1 p.m. to support you. Okay, next point. Oh, what's the difference between healthy responsibility versus toxic guilt? So this is an excellent question. A healthy responsibility versus toxic waste. So I've got this definition of what healthy responsibility is. It's taking ownership for your actions in a constructive and empowering way. It's grounded in self-awareness and leads to growth. So that's what healthy responsibility is. Now, when we evaluate in our lives how much of this, well, maybe part of it, maybe 20%, maybe 80% is true. It doesn't matter. You're here. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go down or do you want to go up? Well, I don't know why. It doesn't have to be. You could be here and you want to go there. We could do it this way instead of this way. We often use the steps to show progress. So whichever way you want to see the progress, people in the city see progress more this way. There's a study that was done, and people that live on these flat lands will see progress more this way because there's no high buildings. Okay, interesting, right? Little tidbit that just popped in my mind right now. So here are some key traits that I think are important to look at and just to see, maybe to help you evaluate if you're healthy, if you have a healthy responsibility attitude with your beautiful children and your beautiful spouse. Okay, so I'm going to put them up so you can see them at the same time. Just a second. Here we go. Acknowledge mistakes without harsh self-judgment. Ooh, that will bring a positive change. That's for sure. Apologizing, making things right are excellent. Is action-oriented and focused on repair. Okay, so are you really trying to say, okay, what's the action I'm going to take to try and repair or to try and add love to it? And I highly recommend you start with yourself. First, practice with you. If you mess up, and it's okay. And then start practicing it with your children and your spouse, or your spouse and then your children. Listen to your inner wisdom. Remember, we snap, tap, relax, and zap to get out of our head and to get back into our inner wisdom, listening to our beautiful hearts. Each and every one of us has a beautiful heart. I don't care what people have said to you in the past. Connect to this love that's in you. And then, are your actions rooted in compassion and maturity? So there's 4 things that you want to look at. Acknowledge the mistakes without harsh Self-judgment. Oh, what did I do wrong? I was working with a parent the other day that said, I feel like I haven't done a good enough job. Just a minute here. That doesn't fly with me. You have done many, many things. And if it wasn't in this aspect of your life, it was in this aspect. And maybe we just need to even out things. Let's see what's working and what's not working. Are you taking action that or responsibility that drives positive change, like apologizing or making things right? Are you action oriented and focused on repairing? And are you really looking at the situation from a place of compassion and maturity and love? If you are, you're doing an amazing job. Maybe you're doing it more in one of these places. Pick one that you want to work on. There's this is brought from I did look for a gentleman who did a research on this. I didn't find it. Maybe you can and tag it in the chat for others to see. But I found Brene Brown. She's a research professor at the University of Houston, and she distinguishes responsibility as holding ourselves accountable without shaming ourselves. Isn't that beautiful? Being accountable without shaming ourselves. So, no put downs, none of this stuff. And if you're hearing your parent's voice who shamed you, or somebody, or an aunt, or an uncle, or a cousin, or a teacher, let's snap. And you're hearing it, right? So it's in the head. Let's go around the ears and send that into the hot air balloon. There you go. Oh, shifting in me. Beautiful. So this is how I see it. When I yawn, I know I'm shifting. I know something just released, and I'm always excited. So I hope that if you have this happening to you, you are celebrating. And you don't have to celebrate for very long. You can just celebrate for a second or two, but it brings into the brain that you're looking for that. So she also says, shame corrodes the very part of us that believes we can change and do better. Isn't that interesting? So, do you still want to shame yourself, your children, your spouse? Is that what you want? If your answer is no, then you have a choice. Self-regulate. Ask your family to team up with you and support you so that you can stop this old behavior. Or if you want to do it in a more discreet way, you can book a discovery call. Ask me how I can support you on that journey, and it'll be my pleasure. So, on that note, what's our question today? Our question today is, what's one area where you're too hard on yourself? Ooh, I love that question. What's one area where you're too hard on yourself? I have noticed in the last 3 weeks my self judgment. And I'm like, oh my gosh, why did I say that to myself? But that's not the right question, is it? It's like, let's release that. Who did that belong to? Do I need to know? Maybe not. Maybe I'm just ready to let it go into the hot air balloon because I'm hearing it. Or maybe I'm feeling it in my body and making that distinction with if I use the hot air balloon or the spiraling train. And use your intuition when you're doing Snap Tap Zap because it is meant to be intuitive. I worked with this little girl. She was so cute. And Snap wasn't good enough for her. She says, oh, Christine, I want to do it like this. Oh, yeah, she'd go, snap. And then she'd start. Be creative. Make it fun, right? So, is it time for you to step into confident leadership with the ripple effect of love for dads and families? Let me know. You choose.